At the end of part 1, OpenAI had reached its biggest turning point. It had survived, but surviving it wasn't enough. The company had a vision to build artificial general intelligence, a machine capable of solving problems beyond anything humanity had ever created. But there was one problem. Building the future was unbelievably expensive. Every new breakthrough demanded more computing power, more engineers, more research, and more money. The dream of building safe AI was slowly becoming one of the most expensive scientific projects in history. OpenAI had reached a crossroads. Stay true to its mission, or find a way to survive? It chose to survive, and that decision would change the future of artificial intelligence forever. Because somewhere in Seattle, another technology giant had been paying very close attention: Microsoft. And what happened next would transform OpenAI from a small research laboratory into one of the most influential companies on Earth. AGI.part, the partner that changes everything. In 2019, Microsoft invested $1 billion into OpenAI. To the outside world, it looked like another business deal. But behind closed doors, something much bigger was happening. Microsoft wasn't simply investing money, it was investing in the future of intelligence itself. But money was only part of the story. OpenAI needed something even more valuable: computing power. Training an AI model isn't like installing software. Every improvement requires enormous amounts of mathematical calculations. Billions, then trillions, performed over weeks or even months. No ordinary computers could handle that workload. OpenAI needed thousands of specialized processors working together day and night. Those processors are called GPUs. Originally designed for video games, GPUs turned out to be perfect for artificial intelligence. Unlike traditional processes, they could perform thousands of calculations simultaneously, exactly what AI needed. Microsoft's Azure cloud gave OpenAI access to enormous supercomputers. Suddenly, the company no longer had to worry about building massive data centers itself. Instead, it could focus on one thing: making AI smarter. And with that new power, OpenAI began building something that would soon surprise the entire world. AGI.7, teaching AI how to think. The project was called GPT, Generative Pre-trained Transformer. The first version, GPT-1, arrived in 2018. It was small by today's standards, but it proved something important. An AI could learn language simply by reading enormous amounts of text. Then came GPT-2. It was much larger, much more capable, and much more surprising. It could write paragraphs that sounded remarkably human. In fact, OpenAI was so concerned about misuse that it initially refused to release the full model. That decision sparked a global debate. Was AI becoming too powerful, or was OpenAI being too cautious? Then came GPT-3, and everything changed. GPT-3 was massive, far larger than anything OpenAI had built before. It could write essays, answer questions, translate languages, and even generate computer code. For the first time, people began to see AI not as a laboratory experiment, but as a tool that could help with real work. Developers around the world rushed to build new applications on top of it. The AI revolution was accelerating. But OpenAI still had one problem. These models were powerful, yet they didn't always behave the way humans wanted. They could be confusing, unhelpful, or confidently wrong. So OpenAI trained a new version using feedback from real people. The result was GPT 3.5, and this time, the company decided to put it directly into the hands of the public. What happened next would become one of the most explosive technology launches in history. AGI.8, the day the world met ChatGPT. For years, OpenAI had worked quietly behind closed doors. Researchers trained larger models, engineers solved impossible problems, billions of dollars were spent, without the public seeing much of what was happening. Then, on November 30th, 2022, everything changed. OpenAI released ChatGPT. At first, it wasn't launched as a finished product. It was introduced as a free research preview. The goal was simple: let ordinary people use the system, learn from their feedback, and make the AI better. No one expected what happened next. Within 5 days, more than 1 million people had signed up. It wasn't just another app. It became a global conversation. Students used it to understand difficult subjects. Programmers asked it to write code. Writers turned to it for ideas. Businesses discovered new ways to work. For the first time, millions of people could simply type a question and receive an answer that felt surprisingly human. The internet exploded. Some people called it the future, others called it dangerous. Social media filled with screenshots of impossible conversations. People watched AI write poems, solve mathematical problems, translate languages, and explain complex scientific ideas in seconds. Many couldn't believe what they were seeing. By January 2023, just 2 months after launch, ChatGPT had reached around 100 million monthly users. At the time, it became the fastest growing consumer application in history. Almost overnight, artificial intelligence stopped being something discussed only by scientists. It became part of everyday life. Classrooms, offices, homes, entire industries began asking the same question. If AI can already do this today, what will it be able to do tomorrow? But while the world celebrated OpenAI's biggest success, inside the company, something was beginning to fall apart. Act 9, the 5 days that shook OpenAI. Success doesn't always bring stability. Sometimes it creates even bigger problems. Behind OpenAI's remarkable growth, a battle had been quietly unfolding, not over money, not over technology, but over one question. How fast should artificial intelligence be developed? Some leaders believed AI needed to move carefully. Safety had to come first. Others believed progress couldn't wait. The world was moving too quickly. Then, on November 17, 2023, everything changed. Without warning, OpenAI's board of directors announced that CEO Sam Altman had been removed. The official explanation was brief. The board said it had lost confidence in his leadership and that he had not been consistently candid in his communications. To the outside world, the decision made little sense. The man who had helped turn ChatGPT into a global phenomenon was suddenly gone. Shock spread across the technology industry. Investors were confused. Employees were stunned. Then, the situation became even more extraordinary. More than 700 OpenAI employees signed a letter demanding Altman's return. They warned that if the board refused, they would leave the company and join Microsoft instead. It was one of the largest employee revolts ever seen in the technology industry. Microsoft, OpenAI's biggest partner, publicly welcomed Altman and his team, offering them positions to continue their work. For a moment, it looked as though OpenAI might completely collapse. Then, just 5 days later, everything changed again. Sam Altman returned as CEO. Several members of the original board stepped down. A new board was formed. The crisis was over. But it revealed something the world had never fully seen before. Artificial intelligence was no longer just a scientific project. It had become one of the most valuable and most fiercely contested technologies on Earth. And despite all the controversy, the biggest chapter of the story had not even begun, because OpenAI wasn't trying to build a better chatbot. It was chasing something far more ambitious: artificial general intelligence, a machine capable of matching, or even surpassing, human intelligence. Whether that future becomes humanity's greatest achievement or its greatest challenge is a story still being written. Act 10, the race that has only just begun. For thousands of years, every great invention has changed the course of human history. The printing press spread knowledge faster than ever before. Electricity transformed entire civilizations. The internet connected billions of people across the planet. Now, artificial intelligence may become the next chapter in that story. But unlike every invention before it, AI is different. Because for the first time, humanity isn't just building another tool. We're building something that can learn, reason, create, and one day perhaps even discover things we cannot. That possibility is both exciting and deeply unsettling. OpenAI calls its ultimate goal artificial general intelligence, or AGI. Not an AI that performs one task well, but one that can understand, adapt, and solve problems across almost every field, as well as or even better than a human being. If that day comes, it could transform medicine, accelerate scientific discoveries, solve problems that have challenged humanity for centuries, and reshape the global economy. But it also raises questions no generation has ever faced before. What happens if an AI becomes more intelligent than its creators? Who decides how such a system should behave? Can humanity truly control something more capable than itself? Or are we opening a door that cannot be closed? These questions have divided scientists, engineers, governments, and even the people building the technology itself. Some believe AGI could become humanity's greatest achievement. Others warn that moving too fast without solving the problem of AI safety could create risks we don't yet fully understand. And perhaps that's why the story of OpenAI matters so much, because this isn't just the story of one company, it's the story of a race unfolding in real time, a race involving governments, the world's largest technology companies, and billions of people whose lives may be transformed by what happens next. The future of AI will not be decided by one invention or one company. It will be shaped by the choices humanity makes from this moment forward. So, when historians look back, decades from now, they may not remember ChatGPT as the final destination. They may remember it as the moment the age of artificial intelligence truly began. OpenAI began with a simple mission to ensure that artificial intelligence benefits all of humanity. Less than a decade later, it has changed the way people learn, work, create, and imagine the future. But despite everything it has achieved, the story is far from over, because somewhere inside research labs around the world, the next breakthrough is already being built. And whether it leads humanity into its greatest era of innovation or its greatest test depends on the choices we make today. This is only the beginning.